Welcome to the best of first-person episodes from Phantoms and Monsters. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads.
Bipedal wolf encountered northwest Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. I live in a small town called Penfield in Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. This encounter happened in late July of this year 2015. I was driving home from work on Boy Scout Road in Penfield. I usually stick to the main roads when driving home, but sometimes take back roads to take in the scenery. As I was coming around a bend, I saw a large brownish tan creature crouching on the side of the road. I slowed down to get a better look. That's when it turned its head towards my vehicle. It had a large head and yellowish glow to its eyes and a long nose. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was eating roadkill, I believe a deer. At this point I slammed my foot into the gas pedal and didn't let off the gas until I reached my home. I then jumped out of my car, ran into my house and locked my doors. I grabbed my rifle from my closet and loaded it. I then went into my basement and took out a silver letter opener that I had gotten after my grandfather passed away. I haven't seen anything since. But I would like to add that about a month prior to this I was at the local Minute Mart getting gas. A game commission officer pulled up to the next pump. Attached to his truck was a trailer, and in that trailer was an elk. A lot of elks have radio collars, and when one dies it's the game commission's job to figure out how it died and to take samples. I asked the man what had happened to it. It was a young elk, maybe 2 to 3 years at most. It looked fine to me, except for the fact that its throat was slit. He told me he had no clue, and that when they found it, the collar it had been wearing was about 10 feet away. He said at first they thought it was a bear as it's the only animal around here large enough to take down a bull elk. But there was no evidence indicating it was a bear. Plus, he told me, the cut on its throat was too clean. After that conversation I didn't think too much of it until I saw that thing that night. I'm a very facts-based person, and I don't hold any personal beliefs as far as supernatural things are concerned. But since that night I don't know what to think anymore. The reason I'm writing this to you is because I saw that back in November you wrote about a man on State Game Lands 331 seeing a similar creature. I lived in this town my whole life and spent more time in the woods than any place else. I've seen all the animals around here and I can tell you this thing was not natural. J.
Two huge cryptid canines attacked men in southern Ontario. We got into the field and fanned out. I was farthest to the right. Straight ahead in the distance was a blue flash of light that originated in the cemetery. It looked like it was 10 to 15 feet off the ground. Then a loud crashing thump, like something heavy fell. Then a few hundred feet to the left the exact same thing happened, like a blue ring-shaped flash of light. These things tore out of the trees and into the corn at an incredible speed. Faster than any live creature I'd ever seen move. Supernatural fast. Whatever they were then began to bluff charge me and my friends, running at me 3 or 4 times and stopping just outside of the range of direct sight, maybe 2 or 3 rows of corn away. They were as big as grizzly bears and fast as race cars. They were going between me and my buddies. Then I saw the head and shoulders of the one. A large wolf-like head with pointed ears and broad shoulders. The head had no neck and was situated directly on the shoulders. It was a terrifying sight. There was zero doubt in my mind as to what I had just seen. It was 10 feet away at the max. Just then it charged me from the front and left, and then my beauty's dog came in from the right. I thought I had been flanked and almost shot the dog, who was losing her mind at the time, whining and whimpering and shaking profusely non-stop. At that point I started praying to Jesus Christ, and the 2 dog creatures or whatever they were, instantly turned and high-tailed it out of the cornfield back towards the cemetery. So my buddies and I found each other, and the guys said that they had been being charged too. The guy who had driven us there said he had seen it. I told him I did also. I continued to pray as I looked in the direction where I saw them run off to. We had a serious job still to do. There were thousands of dollars sitting in the field. We got things harvested and wrapped up, ready to move out of there. Well, they doubled back around on us, because when my friend and I were struggling with dragging the big blue tarp full back along the tractor access route, we passed a large bush. One of these creatures was right there. My friend screams out, "There's a wolf." As I looked up, it was running like a man on two legs. The creature only ran about 10 feet into the woods and stopped dead in its tracks. My friend and I were ready to go, and he says to me, "Is it coming back to get us?" I just started praying out loud again. Nothing else happened. We dragged everything to the car. Because it's a little hatchback, someone had to stay behind. So I thought, well, this is great. There's something seriously messed up going on here that only seems to be kept at bay by prayer. These guys don't know I've been praying, so one of them is going to get killed if I don't stay. I think that it was the Holy Spirit protecting me. I strongly felt it. So the dog and I stayed behind and spent the next hour on the road as she whined and cried and freaked out. I was praying and holding my ground. I did notice that one creature came up behind the embankment that was along the entrance to the field and stood there, pacing back and forth. I then saw other creature was now on the other side of the entrance road, behind a huge blackberry bush that hangs over the ditch. It was not more than 10 feet from us. The dog was freaking out so badly that it almost got to me. I thought she might just drop from a heart attack. Every time I see the dog now, I know she is remembering it too. She just gives me a look and starts shaking. She has strongly bonded to me since that day. I was never so happy as when those headlights came back over that hill and my friend pulled up to get us. It seemed like forever we were on that road. But in reality it may have been 1 hour tops. When we got back, my friend said, "Did you see the size of that dog, bro?" I just said I didn't want to talk about it.
Cryptid devil dog encountered near Bray Road in southeast Wisconsin. Back in 2012, my friends and I used to meet up every night to go cruise around. We all lived with our parents, so we didn't have much of an option. We worked in retail, so we'd all usually be off around 10 p.m. and would meet up around 11 p.m. and go for an evening drive. One night was the usual. 2 friends came and picked me up in my buddy's green van, and we drove a little out of town to a popular country road cruise spot. It was unusually foggy. I believe it was a late spring night. As we were riding around, something crazy and unexplained happened. My friend was driving, and out of the fog I saw something. It was a dog, but not like one I ever saw. It had long, gnarled black hair that formed into mangled dreadlocks that went down to the ground. It had long, big, sharp teeth, bigger than I've ever seen on a dog before. And it had beady, piercing red eyes. My friend, who was driving, saw it as soon as I did and yelled, "Holy crap," and slammed the brakes. We hit the thing and it disappeared into thin air. We got out of the car immediately and looked around. There was nothing. No evidence of anything. No fur, no blood. It didn't even feel like we hit anything, but we did. At this point we hadn't discussed what we saw yet, so I asked my friend, and he gave the exact same description as me. The guy in the back seat didn't see anything and was very confused. We called it an early night. We didn't talk or say much the rest of the way, but we still talk about it to this day. I know that we both saw the exact same thing. Some have doubted my story over the years and said we were high. But this was a shared experience. We both saw the same thing. To this day, I'm legitimately curious as to what this was. Some have told me it's a devil dog, an old Irish legend. What makes this very strange is there is a barn less than half a mile from our sighting in which 2 sisters committed suicide. This is also about half an hour away from Bray Road, the local werewolf legend. SF.
This is Lon Strickler. If you like this program, it would help us if you would give it a thumbs up. Then subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notification when we upload new first-person encounters. We have many more to come very soon. And by the way, if you have a suggestion or an experience of your own, please leave a comment.